We have right now with us Adam Feldman from Time Out New York, covering all things theater. Really good time to talk about it, Ray, because holidays start this week. A lot of shows come out on the holidays, or a lot of families make plans to go out and see things on the holidays. Adam, first of all, thank you so much for being with us. We really appreciate your time.
Happy to be here.
There are some things opening, right? Are there musicals that are opening? What are the most noteworthy openings that you would say coming up in the coming weeks or coming months?
Well, a lot of these shows have already opened because a lot of these shows want to open in time to get that holiday traffic. So there have been several big ticket musicals, especially. I know people are mostly interested in musicals, and there have been several really big ticket items. One of them that I really enjoyed is a revival of the musical Ragtime. Which is from the 1990s. It is an epic look at America at the turn of the 20th century, and it's a beautiful staging up at Lincoln Center. So that's one I can unhesitatingly recommend.
Would you say it's what would be the most original piece of work that's available during this holiday season?
Well, it hasn't been a big year so far for original musicals, but there is a very charming one called Two Strangers Carry a Cake Across New York. It's a two-person musical that's on Broadway. It was in Great Britain, and they've imported it over here. It's about a young Englishman who comes over to New York for the first time, meets a local New Yorker. It's sort of a rom-com, which you don't see very often on Broadway anymore. So it's a real pleasure, and it's a charming show. Um, and then, of course, there's another big musical called The Queen of Versailles, which is a musical. It's a new show by Stephen Schwartz, who wrote the score for Wicked and Pippin and Godspell. And it stars Kristen Chenoweth, who, of course, was one of the original stars of Wicked. That one, for me, is a little bit of a disappointment. It's adapted from a documentary about an incredibly rich for Florida family. It struggles for me to tell that story very effectively.
Ah, that's good to know. Okay, and so we give equal time. Now that we've talked about musicals, can we talk about some plays? Are there ones that are noteworthy in your mind?
Oh, absolutely. There's a beautiful new play called Little Bear Ridge Road that stars Laurie Metcalf. Most people know her from Roseanne. She was Jackie on Roseanne, but she's actually one of the great stage actors of our generation, and it's always great to see her back on Broadway. This is another uh, triumph for her and for her co-star Micah Stock. It's a beautiful small story about people in rural Idaho trying to make it through the pandemic and then beyond. And It's by Samuel Hunter, who's one of the best American playwrights working today. And another great play that has just opened is a play called Liberation. That's a play that opened off Broadway earlier this year, and now it's transferred to Broadway with an incredible ensemble cast. And this is about feminism in the 1970s and its legacy today.
I also heard the name Leslie Manville mentioned. Which play is she in?
She is in a new British adaptation of Oedipus, which is the old Greek Sophocles play and Greek myth. It doesn't end well for poor Oedipus, I'm afraid. But Leslie Mann she is a terrific actor, and so is her co-star Mark Strong, who plays Oedipus. But what I'm really looking forward to are the two plays that are going to be opening in December and January, and those are revivals of plays called Marjorie Prime and Bug. Bug stars Carrie Coon, who's wonderful. She was just in White Lotus, and she's in The Gilded Age. She's returning to Broadway in this beautiful, scary study of paranoia called Bug, that was written by her husband, the playwright Tracy Letts. And then Marjorie Prime, also a very interesting show, and it's very timely now because it's about artificial intelligence. And that one stars June Squibb, who is, I think, 96 years old.
Oh,
Which is just astonishing that she's acting on Broadway at this point in her career.
okay. And what about the off-Broadway performances? Anything that you're looking forward to or that you would recommend for our audience there?
Yeah, there are a lot of things off Broadway. A lot of the best work in New York is always happening off Broadway. I think there's a beautiful musical. Stephen Schwartz, who I mentioned earlier, has a revival of one of his old shows called The Baker's Wife. And that was a show that was a total flop in the 1970s. They closed it out of town. It never even came to New York that first time around. But now they've been reworking it for years. They've come up with a version that's really charming. And that's at Classic Stage Company. And another revival of a more recent show is the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee, which was on Broadway about 20 years ago. and now is back at New World Stages. And this is a show about, about kids played by adults, but they're outcast kids who are competing against each other in a spelling bee. It is a very funny and quite touching show as well.
All right, great. And my last question as a journalist is, how is Broadway doing? Right? There had been so much speculation about whether it was congestion pricing or this the incoming mayor of how things would go. Can you just talk about the overall health of the Broadway industry right now, or off Broadway?
It's a complicated picture. In terms of box office, Broadway has been doing very well. It's been making a huge amount of money, but the big, that profit has tended to be even more concentrated than ever on the really big successful shows, whether they're big musicals or whether they're short runs of plays with big stars that can attract large audiences and command large prices. Conversely, you've seen a lot of shows that come in and don't find an audience and lose a lot of money. So that's the tricky part. There have been so many new musicals in the past couple of seasons that I think they've kind of used up their reservoir. And this season so far, it looks like there will be far fewer musicals, the fewest in many years. So that might be a sign of upcoming trouble for the industry.
All right, we'll keep an eye on it. Adam Feldman, thank you so much. You got our list really long. We're going to have a very busy holiday season trying to keep up with your list. Really appreciate your time. And I guess the best way for our audience also to keep track of you is just check Time Out New York, and that's where you'll be sharing your up-to-date thoughts on what's going on.
Absolutely. The theater section of Time Out New York.
All right, thank you, Adam. Really appreciate it.